Okay, welcome everybody. Savannah, you're good to take it away.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our second Learn with Illume live event. I'm Savannah Keller from Illume Magazine, and I'm excited to dive into today's discussion on something that plays a huge role with leatherworking, building relationships with suppliers. Um, if you're a leather worker, supplier relationships are everything. The quality of your leather tools and hardware can make or break your work, and knowing how to source the best materials while maintaining strong connections with suppliers is a game changer. So tonight we're going to focus on the little black book of suppliers, which we launched as a resource or a bonus to help makers connect with reliable suppliers. Um, we created it on our Illume learning platform as the ultimate business playbook. Um, and it connects you with trusted leather crafters, suppliers for premium materials, plus the profits, pricing, and perseverance playbook, which gives you the strategies to price, profit, and grow a thriving leathercraft business. I am going to drop that link here into the discussion so you can find it. Um, and then um, we'll be talking about how to navigate ordering, what to look for in a good supplier, and how to avoid common pitfalls. I'm excited to have some familiar faces on here with us, Angie Shaw and Curtis Hallows, who have extensive ordering for extensive experience with ordering for burns. They'll share insights from a supplier's perspective. We're also hoping to hear from some makers who can shed light on the buyer side. What challenges you guys face when sourcing your leather hardware and tools. This is meant to be an open discussion, so feel free to drop your questions and your thoughts into the chat, or better yet, just speak up if you have a question or an answer to somebody else's question. Just go for it. So let's get started. The first talking point tonight is going to be the importance of strong supplier relationships. Why a good supplier relationship matters for leather workers. Your supplier is more than just where you buy materials, it's a partnership. The right supplier, they help to ensure your consistency, your reliability, and your quality, which all impacts your final product. A strong relationship can lead to better pricing, priority access to high demand materials, especially in shortages, and even custom options tailored just for you. When issues arise like delays or product inconsistencies, having a good relationship can be the difference between getting a quick resolution and struggling with costly setbacks. So how trust and consistency lead to better quality and pricing. Suppliers value long-term repeat customers. If you build trust and maintain a strong relationship, they may offer some volume discounts, better shipping options, and even first access to premium materials. A lot of things are on short supply these days, and so those relationships can help you have first access. If they understand your needs, over time, they can better match you with the right materials, like ensuring the same leather weights, finishes, and dyes for your consistency. And trust works both ways. If a supplier knows that you're going to pay them on time and that you're going to order regularly, they're more likely to go the extra mile with you and to help you when you have your needs. Red flags to watch for when working with new suppliers. I think this is one of those common pitfalls and road bumps we all deal with. So some of those can be like inconsistent communication. If they're hard to reach before you even place an order, it's a bad sign for your future interactions. Unclear pricing or hidden fees. Make sure upfront that they're including shipping costs. any anything like minimum orders or potential restocking fees. Poor reviews. We make sure that you ask around. Sometimes ask people who've worked with them, get online and read the reviews that are on Google, or refusal to send samples, or provide clear product details. This might mean that they don't have the quality control you need. Um, did I miss anything? What are the red flags that you guys have encountered with working with suppliers?
A lot of what you've already said. So, they have shortages just like, when we're trying to build something and we have shortage, they run into the same thing. Supplies, like if it's a tannery, they might not have a chemical they need to get a certain color, or I think that's a big one for us.
Yeah. And as well as and just making sure that there's a good relationship there. I think as time you learn who you can kind of trust and maybe who's maybe not so trustworthy. I think trustworthy is the big thing there, uh, and just them being as well as consistent with invoicing. You know what you're paying for the product, just making sure that's always the same. Or being aware, that's probably a better thing. Just being aware.
Good deal. Is there anyone else that had a red flag that they'd come across? Okay, I'm gonna lean on Angie and Curtis with this one, understanding the suppliers in perspective. What suppliers wish makers understood about ordering. Many suppliers work on thin margins. So bulk orders and repeat business are what keep their business running. They appreciate customers who understand that. Customer orders cutting to specific dimensions or hand selecting hides take extra time and labor. Knowing this and planning ahead makes you a better customer. So have all of that figured out. Some delays are beyond their control. Tannery backlogs, shipping issues, seasonal demands, spikes can all impact their ability to fulfill those orders. So from the perspective of Angie and Curtis, what makes an ideal customer?
I think just knowing what you're looking for, um, yeah, being prepared ahead of time when you're making that phone call, I would say.
Yeah, and doing your research. I think it's important to know what your customer needs. So doing that homework, then as well as doing the homework so that you know what you're ordering, and so that it can always be that consistent ounce leather or color of leather. Like within the leather industry, every different supplier, their brand could be different than a different supplier. Maybe that's not what your customer needs. So I think it's important to do your homework and research and know what you're doing. I know a lot of tanneries are willing to send samples as well. So that's a big thing you can lean on too.
For sure.
Great. Well, with just some discussions that we've had, not knowing the exact specifics of what they need, be as precise as possible when ordering, especially with leather. There's weight, tannage, finish, and thickness. Assuming all suppliers work the same way, each has different minimum orders, quantities, return policies, and shipping procedures. Expecting perfect uniformity in leather. Because leather is a natural product, there will always be variations in color, grain, textures. How to communicate effectively with suppliers to avoid delays or issues. Clear communication is key when it comes to your ordering. Be clear and detailed in your initial inquiries. If you're ordering leather, include details like the project type, desired finish, and and whether you need a consistent color or don't mind variations. Ask questions early. Don't assume anything about the lead times, availability, or pricing. And build a relationship beyond just ordering. Check in periodically, express appreciation, and provide feedback on materials you receive. We are all humans, and we all want feedback on us as a business. Let's see.
Sorry, Savannah, as you're going through there, just real quick, I was wondering if you could maybe put Doc on the spot here. I bet he's got some stories, just kind of as we're going through that top line there.
Yeah, Doc, let's get your stories and your perspective on this.
So I think a lot of it is managing your expectations. So when you're in the leather industry, I'm going to throw out one company in particular, and I'm not picking on them, but it's Herman Oak. Everyone consistently says, hey, Herman Oak is the best. It's the best money you can buy. You're going to love it. But then when a first-time customer gets that side and they unroll it, we get a phone call, we get an email basically saying, hey, this is nowhere near what I was getting at, say, Tandy or somewhere else. This has a lot of blemishes and marks. And we just have to re-educate our customer and tell them, look, it's tanned with quebracha and oak bark, and it's going to be darker. But all those things lend themselves to, that's why it's a better leather, because it burnishes so nicely. But because it burnishes so nicely, it might have some extra burnish marks on it, some dark marks from where it was handled, several times, packaged, shipped, packaged again, shipped, say from Herman Oak to Maker's Leather Supply and then to the consumer. You really have to just tell the customer to trust you, cut into it, make a wallet bag, tool it, and you're going to love it. And they do. But it's that first initial scare of, cutting into a side of Herman Oak or cutting into a $600 alligator. It's a tough sell, but if they trust you, they're going to listen to you. And then if you just stand behind your word and say, hey, if you still don't like it, we'll buy it back from you. And that's what Makers has always done. If you don't like a tool, then we'll buy it back from you. Or if you don't like the Herman Oak, I'll send you another piece. We also, touching on the re-education. So we explain to them how the tannery grades. So when the tannery looks at a whole side, they only look at what is their moneymaker, which is the bend of the leather. So the shoulder, the armpit, the belly, all that stuff that's going to have the fat wrinkles and the stretch marks and, the inconsistencies, those are parts of the cow that they're not worthless, but they're not worth as much. So the bend is usually, say, worth $185 to $190. The shoulder's worth 40 to 60 and a belly's worth 30. You got to really look at their ideas. They'll cut off the shoulder and belly and sell it for almost nothing to get that prime real estate of that bend. So you get a good deal. If you add all those numbers together, it comes out to $290, all said and done. And you buy the side for, say, $255, then you're coming out, it's a good deal for you. But you have to take some of the bad to get the good.
That's great. Thank you, Doc. I see a couple faces in here that are makers and are on the ordering side. I'd love to get your input on this, but navigating ordering as a maker, how to vet new suppliers before committing. So you're going to want to start small, place a test order before committing to large purchases. This allows you to assess quality, assess communication and reliability as well. Ask for references. This community is very tight, and it's really easy to call somebody up. Reputable suppliers should have no problem providing testimonials from other customers. Request samples. Many suppliers offer swatches or small samples pieces so you can evaluate the leather or be educated on it, like Doc said. Dyes are hardware quality as well. Research their reputation, look for reviews, ask in leatherworking forums, or check social media for customer reviews. Google's also a good place to see reviews. George, I'm going to call on you. What are some of the key questions to ask before placing an order?
Well, for us, minimum quantity is always a big thing. Do they need tax ID and information like that? As a guy that buys wholesale, and a lot of our makers are buying wholesale, have your EIN number handy. Have your state tax ID information already filled out, so you can just fax it to them immediately. Oftentimes, I've had people who are makers, they had that information because they were told to get it the first time, but then nobody told them what to do with it. So they're paying full retail or paying sales tax when they didn't have to. It was a product, that was a sub-assembly part, like their leather itself. So we always check on stuff like that, and then a lot of times you end up kind of guiding them through that. You've done the work to get this. Here's how you use it. Somebody told them you got to get an EIN number or a DBA. I think, Doc, you do DBAs here in Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And by the way, I'm right down the road from you. I'm at the Road Ranger right now, parked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But so that when I'm calling the people, usually I've done all that other homework in advance. I'm not looking for a sample or anything like that. But where do I hit quantity break? Some of our products in our small hardware, we have to buy 10,000 units, to get a quantity break. That's what started us being a supplier. Is who in the world is going to use 10,000 little nylon pluggy things? So I mean, we do that. Another thing too is, as a customer dealing with me, if they have or if they say they're a holster shop or a leather business, I look at their email. Is it a Hotmail address? Which when you get stuff back from me, it says Hotmail. But we have the edcleather.com, but I'm not smart enough to get my email to work right. I just it kicks my tail. On my so as a buyer, I do that. For our customers, I have to go back to what Doc said. Especially in us as a very niche of a niche. We literally, and some of you guys have seen my classes, we literally take the time to train our customer. They come to one of our classes or a boot camp, and then they become a customer for life. I think you do that a lot as well, don't you, Doc?
Exactly.
And the videos, being able to learn that way. The Illume platform is a great solution there, and you guys have changed a lot of how people see us. Even with Derek, because Derek makes me look amazing. So that's kind of where I'm at. But also, when you get to personally meet a vendor, going to like the Pendleton show, I get a chance to sit down with my silver vendors, with Tim and Marie Hansen, and really have a discussion with them. We buy more from Buckle Guy now than we ever did, because a couple years ago he was there and we got to visit, and he questioned what we use and discovered that our product needs to be very narrow. But he was able to help us work it out. Well, that's not going to happen in email or something of that nature. So I think get them to leather shows, meet your vendors, have a discussion with them, let them see what your needs are, and and then if you're like me and you constantly forget deadline dates, and you can call up and say, "Oh, I'll throw you more money. Please get it quick," things like that. So I think it all ties together, but not just as a customer, but as a vendor as well. It all and being someone and selling to the market really teaches you how to deal with a vendor, because all the questions that I have for them, my customers have for me. Did that make any sense?
Yes, thanks, George. Along with some of those questions that I would just add in, for making sure that you ask them when you are making those orders is I would also add checking on seasonal materials. You might be getting in there in the spring or whatever it might be, and there might be different products in the springtime versus the fall. So make sure that you're asking those questions, as well as, and I think George pointed this out, was is there discounts for bulk, and what are those lead times for shipping? Differences in between ordering in bulk versus small quantities. Bulk orders typically come with better pricing and priority processing on the supplier's side, but they require upfront investment and storage space. Small orders give you more flexibility and reduce financial risk, especially when working with somebody new, but they often have higher per unit costs and may take longer to fulfill, and get those in. Some suppliers specialize in either bulk or small orders. Knowing which works best for your business is key there. And then how to handle issues like inconsistent leather hides or delayed shipments. Doc pointed a lot of this out already, but communicate issues quickly. If there is a problem with an order, notify the supplier as soon as possible with clear details and photos if needed. Again, back to that communication and not waiting too long so that they can hop on it. Understand that leather is a natural product and slight variations are normal. However, major discrepancies, the wrong weight, the wrong finish, or excessive defects should be addressed with the supplier. And have backup options if one of your suppliers is frequently running late or out of stock, or well, just consider diversifying your supplier list so that you're not left waiting or hanging, especially when you have orders coming in on your end. Did I miss anything here? What's one thing that you guys wish you had known before working with a new supplier?
Anna, do you care if I jump in?
Go for it.
So I've purchased a lot of materials over my career, and I believe the most important part is the relationships. So having a solid relationship with the vendor, no matter how big or small, is important. I can think back in our history, and so many times a relationship with a vendor has turned into a business opportunity. So relationships with vendors, and they find somebody that's maybe in a different lane or genre than what you're in, and they're asking for some help in your area or want to refer. There's a lot of referrals that happen that way. So I think those relationships are key. And once you have those strong relationships, don't break relationships. Have conversations about price, but don't break relationships over 50 cents an item or $1 a square foot or something like that. Have that conversation. So if you can have your supplier really understand the economics of your business and where you need to be on a product, maybe they can hit that price, maybe they can't, but at least you have that conversation. Don't flip flop back and forth and jump ship over minor pricing things. Now, if it's major, like shop around, but I think having that strong relationship is super important, and that also helps. One thing as you grow working with suppliers, if you have a relationship, if they know and can forecast your purchasing habits, they can, especially if you're smaller, they can take some of that burden, the financial burden, off of backstocking some things for you so that you're able to get them delivered quickly. As craftspeople, it's super important to manage your inventory. Most all craftsmen are a cash business, so they build something and they get paid. Their money's not being hung out in accounts payables; it's being hung up into inventory. So managing that cash flow, and that's where I think Savannah had mentioned talking about smaller shipments or bulk orders. That's really important. You may save $50, but tie up $2,000 worth of capital setting in your shop. It's not really worth that diminishing your cash flow. So I think that's an important part as you're working through the suppliers and those relationships. Just let them know your order frequency and what you need. From a supplier perspective, I guess. I think a lot of people had mentioned, like Curtis had mentioned, be prepared. So when you're going to order something, have the details on what you want, what kind of project, and that will just help the supplier get you what you need. Our suppliers are really good at what they do, but they don't have a crystal ball. So as much information as you can give them, the better. So I think that's a lot of good feedback here. But in my mind, relationships is key. Build those relationships with the suppliers, let them understand your business. We all want to do business with our friends. So if we're friendly with each other, it's a lot easier to give business to them and to refer different projects to different craftsmen. If you were to look back, a lot of those relationships turn into referrals, and I know that's been huge for us. In the boot world, that was probably one of a supplier pointed us to our largest opportunities in selling boots. And it was just basically listening to them. Hey, we know this person goes to this event and they do really well. They're always ordering a lot of stuff before this event. Well, that will spark some interest, and you can find out about that event and take your products there, or ideas on a product line. So those relationships, there's a lot of information about the industry to be gleaned from the vendors because they talk to all your peers, all your competitors. They have a insider scoop, if you will. So having that strong relationship with them is super helpful in your business.
Thank you. And Matt Warner did point out, he said to ask what it would take. Matt, if you would expound on that.
Yeah, what do you mean, Matt? I see him.
That's okay. We just have a couple of minutes left here, and I would like to just open it up. We've covered a lot of topics here. What are some questions or comments that you guys all have in the last couple minutes?
I just want to say real quick hi to Jesse Pittman. He's one of our good customers. I see his name down there, so hopefully he hears us.
Yeah, I see. One of the Braden, you're talking about relationships and stuff like that. On some of our vendors, we are the tiniest little customer they have. Like Herman Oak, we're the babiest Herman Oak distributor they have. We only handle one line of their product line, but and I was like really worried for a while, and they were like, "We're growing you every year. You're doubling your volume." So I found that my vendors, for us, have really taken interest in our growth and trying to help us, as a little business.
Yeah, very true. The more successful you are, the more successful they'll be. And I think most vendors are smart enough to realize that they want the best for their customers, which means more orders, more business. So they really are in your corner trying to help you. So no matter how large you are, when we talk about red flags, I would say if you've got a vendor and they're not very interested in what you do, or don't really feel like they want to build a relationship, or they steer you just to their website instead of answering questions, I would say you can probably find a little better to help your business grow, especially when you're starting out. So having that interaction is important, with also respecting your vendor's time, right? Like it's not they're in business as well, and their time, they've got other people waiting to answer phone calls, but finding that balance with your vendor, I think is important. No matter, like George said, you may not be Herman Oak's largest customer, but I know that they know your name, and I know that they know who you are, and I know that they know what product you're looking for. So that's important. Like you're going to get what you want, whether it doesn't matter about volume, but you've created a relationship, so you're able to get the product that you need, hopefully in the time that you need, and they're open. no matter how much volume you're doing, they're open to have that conversation with you. And I think that's a mark of a good supplier for sure.
And oh, I got exciting news, Savannah. I finished the design side of the taco book yesterday.
That's
So
great.
one of the two new books is now heading off to the guys to do construction and stuff videos. And Doc, I saw that you had got another hit on a book today, I guess, or
Yes,
somebody
sir.
sent me a picture. So they've been fun.
We've had a
So
few people tell us that they really appreciate that you signed ours.
yeah, I only did that for you, See, I was gonna take and put my face in an ink pad and then smack it into the front of the book that way, but I was told that wasn't wise. But I may do that at least for Savannah or for Derek. I'll do that for Derek on the next book. Is you'll get my face smashed in it, for his signature.
Well, that's great, George. Thank you guys for all joining in on this conversation. Supplier relationships can truly make a difference in your work, and it's great to hear from both sides, those ordering and those supplying tonight. If you want to explore more about this and get the links and the phone numbers to those suppliers, don't forget to check out the little black book of suppliers. It's on Learn with Illume, and I know we've listed the link to that. But again, just thank you guys and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah.